Morning folks, this is going to be a shaving but non-shaving video. This is thought I would bring out some of these Shavettes and kind of go through them real quick for those that might be a little unfamiliar with a Shavette. Uh, this is one of the first ones I bought. This one here is a classic Samurai. It takes a DE blade, and if you're brave and ambitious you can put in a mini hair shaper blade right here, or an injector blade. It takes a little bit of finesse to get it in there. This particular style, it splits open like this. You can kind of see these posts right here. If you're going to use an injector blade, you just bump up the top of the blade right up against the two posts here, and then when you put everything back together, try to make sure it stays in line. But at any rate, this was my first. This was my first one. I ordered this one at the same time that I ordered my Parker SRB. The SRB stands for straight razor, and B for black for the scales. And so if it's SRW, that means that the scales are white, and it'll have this kind of setup. You can kind of see the blade there for the exposure. And there's not a whole lot of blade sticking out, but that's about all you need to cut yourself. This one here weighs a bit more than what the Classic Samurai does. But in my opinion, what I really like about the Classic Samurai is it's got this center post right here. The scales do not flex. They're very sturdy. I really like how this one's made. But when I first started, I found that this one here, that the Parker, had more weight behind it, and for me starting out, that seemed to work better for me. One of the things I didn't particularly care for was the fact there's not a center post, and you might find that these scales might flex just a bit. And so to me, that having that center post or that pin through there just really made things a little bit more sturdy, and just my personal opinion. But those are the two Shavettes I started out with, and then I went from there. I've got all kinds. Matter of fact, I forgot one. I'll mention it. I forgot to get it out. It's down the hall there. I'll go ahead and mention it now. It's the IBC Irving Barber Company. It is a Shavette. Matter of fact, I'll put a link down below. Be the first one that I'll put up there. It's a very versatile Shavette. It's one of those kind of Shavettes that it might be something that you might relate to a car if you work on any cars. You can totally rebuild the Shavette from scratch. It's got all the parts that you need in case you wear one out, lose one, whatever the case might be. It's a really nice Shavette. I'll put a link down below. Matter of fact, you probably get more information from that website than you would from me anyway. But it is one of those that that not only takes a artist feather type feather artist club type blade, the longer blade, and as well as a DE blade snapped in half, or even a injector blade. In other words, it covers the whole gambit. And the loading mechanism is magnetized, so it kind of helps hold the blade in place for you. Forgot to get that one out, sorry about that. Anyway, here's my other Parker. This is an SRX. This came out after the SR1, and this one here is all metal. It's a heavyweight. It does have weight behind it. It may not be for everybody, but for me, it's one of my favorite shavers because of the weight. To me, just letting the weight of the shaver, the sharpness of the blade, does help for me. But that was one of my favorite, still one of my favorites when I first got this one here. Another one that I got, get turned around here, Electro Pro. You might see this one here advertised. This one here does not have the notch for the blade, and that was the one I was trying to get when I got this one. Shipped me the wrong one, but I went ahead and went with this one. It's very similar to what you might see with a Classic Samurai. You'll see the same kind of design. They're made out of surgical steel. It has a little bit of weight behind it. Very durable, especially, in other words, if you're going to be looking at something that you want to keep around for a while, and you want something that's got weight behind it. And it does. Last time I checked it, this one here ran about $15 versus the Parker, this one here, this Parker SRX runs right around the $25 mark probably should mention prices on all this. If you look at the Modern Man, it's a UK website. You can find when these are in stock right around the $11 mark, these Parkers. And as it goes for the Classic Samurai, you find these, you know, depending whether you get blades with them or not, they start out right around $7.99, $8.99, and go on up to about $15. Usually the $15 ones you get about 200 derby blades that are a bit pre-cut for you. Here's another one of my favorites for a lot of different reasons. This one here, you'll see in two different models. I guess you might say Antigua. One that's going to have black scales, and this portion up here will be gold. This is similar to like the Parker or the Classic Samurai, with the exception of it does have a clamp here, but it is not. It doesn't have a pin, so it's not attached. And this does split open, but it does not twist open. So when you place your blade up in there, it's not going to twist open for you. So it takes a little bit of effort to put it in there. I don't have quite a problem with it. Doesn't bother me none. Everything seems to work just fine with me. Once again, it's made for DE blades snapped in half, but I've been able to use injector blades, mini hair shaper blades in here, as well as Feather Artist Club blades. When you use those last two blades, like I say, you just slide it in there, hit the two posts at the top of the blade, and center it up, and you're good to go. The scales are just really nice on this. Yeah, they don't flex. This is a well-made shaver. I like this one here. Very versatile in my opinion. Now these next two, I did swap out the scales on this one here. For me, my experience is that it was very easy for me to get used to the Feather Artist Club SS. One of the biggest differences is that this portion right through here may not be, some people may not notice it, especially if you're not familiar with the design of a Shavette. This portion right here that runs right along your face is rounded, whereas opposed to this being an SS, and the DX made out of different material has a little bit more weight to it, but also this portion right here is designed differently, so the shave is going to be different. This one here was really easy for me to get used to. Made me wish I'd got this back when I first looked at it. Well, I was looking at it when I first started out, but at that point in time the price was still pretty high. I changed these scales out. It came with, when I got this one here, I got it used and it had black scales, and I've always liked this color. And I found a website, I should say actually eBay. I found these scales on eBay for sale, and it's not as difficult to swap out as you might think. This portion right here, with this being the black scales, is really hard to tell, but you might be able to see here that maybe it'll catch it. There's like two little posts that come up through there, so it holds that part of the screw in place for you. So all you really need is a common screwdriver. Now I will mention that that slot through there it's only so wide, so you want to find a screwdriver that's relatively thin in order to fit up in there. Comes with the washers and everything else. Just a really nice shaver, and I like the looks of the scales, so that's the reason why I swapped them out. Like I said, just ran about $20. Now I got my my folder here, as well as my Camisori. I got both of them right around the $60 mark, and when I first started looking at these, they were a lot closer to $130, and for me, I felt like that was a bit steep, especially when I was starting out. Wasn't too sure how this was going to progress for me, so I started on the cheaper end of the spectrum. And this one here, you have to buy your protector, if you will, with your Camisori separate, it seems like. I don't know why they don't ship with it. Back when I got mine was about $7, so that's about the price range for it. And today I use the, I'm just going to call it Captain Pinks. They're mild blades. I really like those blades. As it goes for Feather Artist Club SS, for me, I found that supers work better than the professional because of my beard type. I just could, the professional just was not smooth at all. And for me, the supers just seemed to work better. And then I found these blades, and these are working really well for me. This shaver here is my favorite. I don't have a shaver I don't have one that tops this one. This one here is just awesome. I like this design. It's easy for me to maneuver around my face, and you can kind of see why when you start looking at how much room is on my face to shave. This is a very nice fit. Longer blades takes more effort, more skill to maneuver around my face. There's another one I just realized I forgot to bring out that looks an awful lot like this, called Dark Stag, and it takes DE blade snapped in half. Has the same kind of loading mechanism. It's just that it just takes a DE blade snapped in half. That one there might be worth checking out. I will say that it is designed like the DX as opposed to the SS, in that this portion right here, it is it's, I guess you might say it's like the DX. It's not rounded, so your shave feel will be a bit different. The next one I have lined up here, another one of my favorite. This one here, this Razorine, this is one of these shavers. This is the raw brass. It comes in chrome also if you don't particularly care for the raw brass. I just like the raw brass because if I want to shine it up, I can. I don't have to worry about any kind of coating coming off of it. Just all that sort of thing, just a natural patina as it, you know, starts to build up on there. For me, this particular shaver I thought it would look better this way. And this one here, like I say, it's solid brass. It is solid through and through. And it takes a full DE blade. And this one here is a lot of fun to get used to. It's what I refer to as a DE on a stick. It's got the head of a DE because you even got your safety bars right through here. Once you figure out how to use those safety bars, this shaver is really easy to use. I enjoy using it. It is one of those that every once in a while I feel inclined to use it for the whole week. It's just one of those kind of shavers. Here's some, I got a couple of shavers here that take full DE blades, and besides the Razorine. And this one here, you might see it made by somebody else, especially on eBay. You can catch these things. Also, as I think there was one other artisan that is, when the name pops back in my head, I'll mention it. But this one here I got from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, and it does take the full DE blade. And it is upside. This one here's the wooden scales, and there was one I think that had bone scales, perhaps. Can't remember for sure. Anyway, Phoenix doesn't have these anymore, so if you're looking one like this, you'll probably have to look on eBay to find a version of this one, if you will. And that is of size. It does have some weight behind it, so that is something, if you're shaving underneath the nose, it may take a little bit of effort to get used to something of that size. Here's another one that's basically the same thing, but just a lot thinner. As you can tell there, this is a Vanta. This one here, like I say, it takes a DE blade, but it does have it notched out here, kind of help protect you from the toe and the heel of the blade. I've used this one in videos. Matter of fact, I've used most of these. I think I ever last one of them in a video at some point in time. This one here is lightweight, does not weigh near as much one that looks like this. Something you might want to keep in mind if you're looking for something that's lightweight, but takes a full DE blade. Don't even have to worry about snapping in half or pre-cut one. So if you're trying to transition from a DE shaver to a Shavette, this one here just might be on your list. You can find these at Maggard, I think, for like $25. And it's been a while since I priced one like this one here, but I like this one. It does have some weight behind it. I like using it from time to time. Another one from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements that you might find on eBay. Same shape, but it won't have the name branding. And this one here is, oh my goodness, you know what? I forgot the name of this thing. It may come to me after the video stops, but anyway, this one here is the same design like the Parker and the classic Samurai. Got the swing blade, splits open, put your blade in there. It takes a DE blade, and if, like say, if you're brave enough to try placing a mini hair shaper blade up in there, it'll work just fine. When I first got this one, I thought because of the design of the scales that I would just really struggle with it. And when I first got it, I found out that that was not the case at all. It actually seemed to help balance the whole Shavette. It just was really kind of an odd thing to me, because I really thought this shape, which this is metal, I thought this shape was going to cause me issues when I first got it, but didn't have a lick of trouble with it. Quite surprising, in other words. These next ones, I think I'll just go ahead and jump into this one. This one here is a kind of hair shaper that can be used. I don't have a blade in it, but that blade will just be hanging out there naked. This one here, you can kind of see the name there. There's all kinds of different names for the ones this kind. Persona even has one like this one here. Matter of fact, Persona has one. That's another one I forgot to drag out. That takes mini hair shaper blades that looks an awful lot like a straight razor. The scales are very nice. The plastic is thick, very sturdy. I just have a little bit of a problem with the design for me, and it's just for me, might be a mental thing on that one there. The blade only comes to a certain point, and then the rest of this, that's not where the blade is at. It's just part of the loading mechanism, if you will. And so when you use it, it removes some of the shaving cream before the blade has a chance to get to it. You still have the residual slickness there, but it's just one of those things for me I just didn't appreciate, so I don't use it very often. I'll break it out some point in time, maybe in December. I don't know. I'm not sure when I'll break that one back out. It's just one that I try from time to time to see if I can get used to it, get past it, but usually not so much. Focus. Focus is one of the, it's made in Italy, and Focus is one of those companies that seems to, for me, just kind of hit right on the stuff that I like. And this one here is a Focus Slim. It's the owl for all aluminum. It is a very lightweight, nice shaver, very easy to get used to. This one, like I said, the scales, you'd be surprised that the scales don't really, how you say, make things difficult. I do know that one of the things that, for me, I haven't had an issue. It is said that the instructions with this one here, using a DE that's snapped in half. It's not recommended that you use the ones that are already pre-cut. I've used pre-cut ones in here, haven't had any issues, but the idea behind using the DE blade snapped in half is that curled tip on the ends, where it's snapped in the middle, adds just enough tension for to keep the sliding mechanism in place. I haven't had an issue myself, but I understand where they're coming from. They're err on the side of caution to make sure that it does stay in place. For me, I haven't had any issues with it. Another, these two are just, how can you say, the naming will be starting out the same, and then there's going to be a number at the end that'll be different. And that's the Focus. On the handle, it's going to say Focus Metal, but when you go to look these up on the internet, it's a Focus Evolution R21. And then there's going to be another number after that. That other number after that is going to denote the, most of the time it's going to denote the color of the scales. And this one here, this part right here is a black, so it might be referred to as a, I think it's onyx or something like that. But at any rate, yeah, I still got a blade in there. This one here blows up with a plastic holder that inserts inside there. Like I said, the toe and heel is covered, so that'll help somebody that's starting out, or maybe you just want an easygoing shave so you don't have to pay attention to the toe and heel of the blade. This one here, like I say, it's going to start out with a Focus Evolution R, and then there's going to be another number for the color of the scales. There's different colors. There's the black. There's this one here. There's one that's, I think, black and white that looks like that paint was splattered on it. There's different kinds. There's I think an OD green that looks like it's been distressed. It appears to be that way. There's all kinds of versions of this particular shaver. You can kind of tell the difference there, that this part here is more of a shiny aluminum as opposed to the, I guess you might say, the darker, maybe even shinier, might be considered gunmetal. I like this one. This was my first one I got taken with the color. Anyhow, those will run you about, shipped right at $15 if I remember right. Superior shave. I'll try to remember to put as many links as I can down below for the shavers that I talked about that you might want to look at. They vary in price ranges. IBC let me think. Like I say, you can find these for about 60 bucks. The IBC is probably going to be your most expensive one that I mentioned, and it's going to run right around the $70 mark. But like I say, it is an awesome shaver. I mean, in that being very versatile, lose apart, whatever the case might be. The little washers that usually are in between right here at the pivot point, they've got those. I mean, like I say, you could just totally rebuild one if you wanted to. Kind of like this one here, I swapped out the scales. So in other words, you can buy one and then you can buy the scale separate of different colors if that's what you want to do. It's a pretty nice shaver, but it is on the high side. It's not cheap. Kind of like Feather. You look at the DX versions, or a Kai, for instance. I mean, it was a Kai Captain, I think it was $239. I mean, these things get expensive. It just really depends on your budget and where you want to spend your money at. Be honest with you, I still enjoy these for a lot of different reasons. I mean, you can use two different kind of blades in here, inexpensive, durable. I really like these, so it just depends on how much money you want to spend. Hope this helps somebody out. Now, a little over what? I'm going on 22 minutes. Oh, I did shave this morning already, and thought I'd throw this in there. So it's autumn's coming up pretty soon. It's still hot. It's hot in here. This was a Fuzzy Face. This is Autumn Spice. It is really I really like that scent. Decided to follow up with Wet the Face Autumn aftershave. Hoping that it cools off here pretty soon. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.